Built to Rise: Success Principles for Melanated People and People of African Descent, written by Langston E. Hughes. Chapter 4: Faith, Discipline, and Directed Thought. Faith is not fantasy. Faith is disciplined belief proven through repeated action. There is a kind of faith that speaks loudly but builds nothing. It declares, announces, posts, shouts, sings, and promises. It can fill a room with emotion. It can make people feel powerful for a moment. But when the feeling fades, the bills are still unpaid, the body is still tired, the business is still unorganized, the children still need guidance, the book is still unwritten, the skill is still undeveloped, and the purpose is still waiting for a calendar. That is not the faith this chapter is about. Real faith is not escape from responsibility. Real faith is the courage to act in alignment with a truth you cannot yet fully see. It is belief with feet. It is prayer that stands up and makes a plan. It is vision that accepts a schedule. It is spiritual confidence joined to disciplined behavior. For melanated people and people of African descent, faith has never been only an idea. Faith has been song in fields, strategy in secret meetings, prayer in kitchens, courage in courtrooms, patience in classrooms, rhythm in worship, medicine in grief, and fuel for movements. Faith helped people endure conditions designed to crush them. But faith was never meant to keep us only enduring. Faith is also meant to help us build. The purpose of faith is not to make you passive while waiting for rescue. The purpose of faith is to make you steady enough to obey your assignment while reality is still unfinished. Belief must become behavior. Every person believes something. Some people believe they are protected. Some believe they are cursed. Some believe their people are brilliant. Some believe their people are doomed. Some believe money can be learned. Some believe money will always betray them. Some believe love can be healed. Some believe chaos is normal. Some believe discipline creates freedom. Some believe discipline is punishment. Belief is not proven by what a person says in a peaceful moment. Belief is proven by behavior under pressure. If you say you believe your future matters, what does your calendar say? If you say you believe your body is sacred, what does your daily rhythm say? If you say you believe your children are powerful, what does your household language say? If you say you believe your business can grow, what do your systems say? If you say you believe people of African descent can build institutions, what do your spending, studying, serving, and organizing habits say? Faith must become visible in choices. This is where discipline enters. Discipline is not the enemy of faith. Discipline is one of faith's strongest forms. It is how belief becomes dependable. Faith says this is possible. Discipline says, then prove it again today. Faith says, I am called to build. Discipline says, then wake up and work the plan. Faith says, my family can change. Discipline says, then practice a different response in the next hard conversation. Faith says, I will create wealth. Discipline says, then track the money, learn the skill, and stop feeding every impulse. Faith without discipline becomes emotional entertainment. Discipline without faith can become dry, harsh, and joyless. Together, they create power. Directed thought is the practice of choosing what your mind will repeatedly focus on. This does not mean you control every thought that appears. Thoughts can arrive from stress, memory, fear, desire, fatigue, environment, and spiritual struggle. You may not control the first thought, but you can often choose the thought you feed. A distracted mind scatters energy. A directed mind gathers energy. If your mind spends the day rehearsing fear, comparing your life to others, replaying insults, worrying about what might happen, arguing with imaginary opponents, and consuming noise, then little energy remains for purpose. You may feel busy inside while producing very little outside. Directed thought asks, what am I giving my attention to? Does this thought strengthen my assignment? Is this worry asking me to plan, or is it asking me to panic? Is this memory teaching me, or is it trapping me? Is this desire aligned with my purpose, or is it only asking for escape? The mind becomes powerful when it learns how to return to purpose, return to prayer, return to the plan, return to the next right action, return to the truth, return to the standard. Many people think focus means never drifting. That is not realistic. Focus means you notice the drift and return faster. Faith is not denial. Faith does not require you to deny reality. If the account balance is low, faith does not pretend it is high. Faith says, I can face these numbers and create a plan. If the diagnosis is serious, faith does not pretend the body needs no care. Faith says, I will seek wisdom, treatment, support, prayer, and discipline changes. If the relationship is unhealthy, faith does not pretend love requires endless suffering. Faith says truth, safety, accountability, and healing matter. If the community is struggling, faith does not pretend slogans will fix systems. Faith says, we must organize resources, leadership, education, ownership, and protection. Denial avoids reality because reality feels too heavy. Faith faces reality because purpose is heavier than fear. This distinction matters. Some people have been taught a version of faith that shames questions, ignores pain, and calls preparation a lack of trust. That kind of teaching can leave people spiritually excited but practically exposed. Real faith welcomes wisdom. It asks for counsel. It studies. It prepares. It saves. It trains. It plans. It rests. It apologizes. It repairs. It acts. Faith is not the refusal to think. Faith is the refusal to let fear be the highest authority in your thinking. Real-world example. Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman is often remembered as a conductor on the Underground Railroad, but her life also reveals the union of faith, discipline, and directed thought. The National Park Service describes her as a deeply spiritual woman who dedicated her life to freedom and repeatedly risked her life to guide enslaved people north. It would be easy to speak of her faith in a romantic way and miss the discipline. Tubman did not only believe in freedom, she studied roots. She moved with timing, she used secrecy. She made hard decisions under danger. She developed courage, memory, strategy, and endurance. Her faith did not make her careless. It made her committed. This is the lesson. Faith does not remove the need for strategy. Faith makes strategy sacred. If Tubman had only believed but never moved, people would have remained in bondage. If she had moved without discipline, lives could have been lost. If she had allowed fear to direct her thoughts, she could not have returned again and again. Her life teaches that spiritual conviction becomes world-changing when it is joined to preparation, courage, and repeated action. Most readers will not face Tubman's exact circumstances, but every reader has some place where faith must become movement. What freedom are you called to walk toward? Who might be strengthened if you become disciplined? What risk has fear exaggerated because your mind has not yet been trained for the assignment? Or have you been asking for a sign when you already have an instruction? Faith worthy of your future will ask something of you. The false comfort of waiting can be wise. There are seasons when timing matters, when preparation is incomplete, when the door is not yet open, when healing needs space, when a decision should not be rushed. But some waiting is fear dressed in spiritual language. I am waiting on the right time. I am waiting for confirmation. I am waiting until I feel ready. I am waiting until things calm down. I am waiting until I have more money. I am waiting until people support me. Sometimes these statements are honest. Sometimes they are hiding places. The right time may begin with a small action now. Confirmation may come after obedience begins. Readiness may grow through practice. Things may not calm down before you start. More money may come after you learn to organize what you have. Support may appear after people see your seriousness. Faith often begins before conditions feel perfect. If every obstacle must disappear before you move, fear is still leading. Ask yourself, am I waiting because wisdom says wait or because fear says hide? Have I prepared as much as this season requires? Is there a small version of the action I can take now? What would obedience look like this week? The goal is not reckless movement. The goal is honest movement. Discipline as self-respect. Many people hear the word discipline and think of punishment. They remember harsh teachers, strict parents, shame-based religion, military pressure, or public embarrassment. But healthy discipline is not self-hatred. Healthy discipline is self-respect made practical. Discipline says, my future deserves my cooperation. Discipline says, my gifts deserve development. Discipline says, my body deserves care. Discipline says, my people deserve more than my intentions. Discipline says, my ancestors did not endure so I could be casual with my life. Discipline is not about becoming rigid. It is about becoming trustworthy. Can your purpose trust you? Can your word trust you? Can your body trust you? Can your money trust you? Can your family trust your growth? Can your community trust your leadership? Trust is built when promises are kept. Start with small promises because small promises rebuild the inner foundation. Wake up when you said you would wake up. Read the pages you said you would read. Save the amount you said you would save. Make the call you said you would make. Walk the distance you said you would walk. Send the proposal you said you would send. Turn off the noise when you said you would turn it off. Finish the task you said you would finish. Each kept promise tells the mind, I can believe myself. That is spiritual. Real-world example. Katherine Johnson, the mathematician whose work helped make major space missions possible, gives another picture of disciplined thought. Her calculations supported early crewed spaceflight, including orbital work connected to John Glenn's mission. Her life is often celebrated because she broke barriers, but the deeper lesson for this chapter is precision. Precision is faith in disciplined form. When an astronaut's life depends on numbers, vague confidence is not enough. The math must be checked. The details must be right. The mind must stay with the problem until the answer can be trusted. This is a powerful example for people of African descent because it challenges a shallow version of success that relies only on charisma, passion, or appearance. Johnson's contribution was not loud in the public imagination at first. Much of her work happened at a desk through attention, accuracy, study, and excellence. Her discipline became part of history even before the wider world knew her name. Every assignment has its own mathematics. A business has numbers, a household has numbers, a body has numbers, a farm has numbers, a school has numbers, a ministry has numbers, a community fund has numbers, a construction project has numbers, a book has word counts, deadlines, chapters, and revisions. Faith does not free you from details. Faith gives you the patience to master them. If your purpose is serious, learn its numbers, learn its language, learn its measurements, learn its risks, learn its disciplines. The people depending on your assignment deserve more than enthusiasm. They deserve excellence. The morning command. The morning is a powerful place to direct thought. Many people surrender their mind before the day begins. They wake up and immediately enter messages, alerts, arguments, news, entertainment, other people's needs, and yesterday's anxiety. Before they have spoken to their own spirit, the world has already assigned their mood. Do not let the first voice of the day be noise. Create a morning command. A morning command is a short spoken statement that reminds your mind who you are, what you are building, and how you will move today. It is not magic, it is direction. Use this structure. I am responsible for. Today I will move with. I will not surrender my mind to. I will prove my faith by. Example, I am a person of African descent with purpose, discipline, and spiritual authority. I am responsible for my mind, my body, my household, my work, and my assignment. Today I will move with clarity, patience, courage, and focus. I will not surrender my mind to fear, distraction, comparison, or old survival scripts. I will prove my faith by keeping the promises I make today. Say it aloud. Then choose the proof. Without proof, the statement becomes performance. With proof, it becomes training. Pair every affirmation with action. Affirmations can be useful, but they become dangerous when they replace action. If you say, I am wealthy, pair it with a financial action. Check your account. Save, pay down debt. Learn investing basics. Increase income, cancel waste, build an asset. If you say, I am healthy, pair it with a body action. Drink water, walk, stretch, sleep, prepare food. Schedule the appointment. Reduce the habit that drains you. If you say, I am a leader, pair it with a service action. Solve a problem. Encourage someone, make a decision, study leadership, practice listening, take responsibility without needing attention. If you say, I am a creator, pair it with a creative action. Write the page, record the lesson, sketch the design, build the prototype. Practice the instrument, edit the draft. If you say, I am healing, pair it with a healing action. Tell the truth. Set the boundary. Seek counsel. Journal, apologize, rest. Stop returning to what keeps reopening the wound. Words aim the mind. Actions train the life. Never let your mouth write checks your habits refuse to cash. Prayer, meditation, and planning. Many spiritual traditions include prayer, meditation, silence, chanting, song, study, fasting, breath, movement, altar work, contemplation, or communal worship. This book does not need to flatten those differences. People of African descent belong to many faith traditions and spiritual lineages. The practical question is, does your spiritual practice make you more truthful, more disciplined, more loving, more courageous, more responsible, and more useful? Prayer without listening can become noise. Meditation without action can become escape. Planning without spirit can become anxiety. But together, prayer, meditation, and planning can form a powerful rhythm. Prayer aligns the heart. Meditation quiets and observes the mind. Planning gives the hands instructions. Try this rhythm, pray or speak honestly about what is before you. Sit silently long enough to notice fear, desire, and wisdom. Write down the next 3 actions. Choose one and begin. This keeps spiritual life connected to daily life. The point is not to perform holiness. The point is to become integrated. Your beliefs, thoughts, plans, and behaviors should begin to recognize one another. Fighting doubt. Doubt is not always the enemy. Sometimes doubt asks important questions. Do I have enough information? Is this person trustworthy? Have I prepared? Is this the right time? What are the risks? Those questions can serve wisdom. But some doubt does not ask questions to gain clarity. It asks questions to delay obedience. Who do you think you are? What if you fail? What if they laugh? What if nobody supports you? What if it is too late? What if you are not special? When doubt becomes circular, answer it with action. Not argument, action. Doubt says, what if you fail? Action says, I will complete today's practice. Doubt says, what if nobody supports you? Action says, I will become more prepared and find aligned people. Doubt says, what if it is too late? Action says, I will use the time that remains. Doubt says, what if you are not special? Action says, I do not need to be special to be faithful. This last sentence matters. Some people do nothing because they are waiting to feel chosen in a dramatic way. But purpose is not always dramatic. Sometimes you are chosen by what you keep caring about, what you keep noticing, what you keep being asked to solve, and what responsibility keeps returning to your door. Faith does not require you to feel extraordinary. Faith requires you to move with integrity in the direction of the assignment. The discipline of speech directs thought. Thought directs behavior. Behavior directs outcomes. This is why careless speech is expensive. Every time you say, I cannot, ask whether it is true or merely familiar. Every time you say, people like us never, ask who taught you that. Every time you say, I am broke, ask whether you are describing a temporary account balance or naming your identity. Every time you say, I always mess up, ask whether shame is trying to become a prophecy. Every time you say, this is just how I am, ask whether you are protecting a pattern that needs discipline. Disciplined speech does not mean fake speech. It means truthful speech that leaves room for growth. Instead of "I cannot manage money," say, "I am learning to manage money with structure." Instead of "I am lazy," say, "I am rebuilding discipline one promise at a time." Instead of "Nobody supports me," say, "I need to identify and develop healthier support." Instead of "I will never heal," say, "Healing may be slow, but I am participating in it." Instead of "Our people cannot work together," say, "Trustworthy cooperation requires standards and I can help practice them." Language is not a toy. It is a tool. Use it to build. The discipline of imagination oppression attacks imagination. It trains people to expect less, fear more, and treat survival as the highest possible outcome. That is why imagination must be disciplined. Imagination is not childish. Imagination is the mind's ability to preview possibility. Every business began as imagination. Every school began as imagination. Every movement began as imagination. Every invention began as imagination. Every healthy family pattern began when someone imagined responding differently. Every act of liberation began with someone imagining that the present condition was not final. But imagination must be trained toward construction, not escape. Some people imagine only revenge. Some imagine only applause. Some imagine only being rescued. Some imagine only proving doubters wrong. Those images may create temporary energy, but they are not strong enough to build a whole life. Practice constructive imagination. Imagine the household you are building. Imagine the business serving real people well. Imagine your children seeing you keep your word. Imagine your body with more strength and peace. Imagine your community with functioning institutions. Imagine a meeting where people of African descent bring resources, accountability, and skill to the table. Imagine land being protected. Imagine elders being honored. Imagine young people being trained. Imagine money moving with purpose. Then ask, what is the next physical action that moves this image closer to reality? Imagination without action becomes escape. Imagination with discipline becomes design. Real-world example. The discipline of nonviolent movements. Many people remember civil rights movements through speeches, marches, and images of public courage. What is easier to forget is the training behind the courage. Nonviolent, direct action required discipline. Participants prepared themselves to face insult, danger, arrest, pressure, and fear without losing focus. Spiritual conviction was joined to strategy, meetings, songs, legal planning, transportation, communication, fundraising, and sacrifice. This matters because people often admire outcomes without studying preparation. The visible moment is never the whole movement. Before the march, there is training. Before the speech, there is study. Before the victory, there are meetings. Before the public courage, there is private discipline. Before the breakthrough, there are people doing unglamorous work. This principle applies to personal success too. The world may see the graduation, the business opening, the debt-free announcement, the healed marriage, the published book, the strong body, or the new home. What they may not see is the hidden discipline that made it possible. Do not envy results while avoiding training. Faith prepares. Building a faith and discipline system. Systems make faith easier to practice when emotions are unstable. Create a simple system with 5 parts: a daily spiritual practice. This may be prayer, meditation, scripture, sacred study, breathwork, journaling, silence, gratitude, or another practice that centers you in truth. A daily focus block. Choose one uninterrupted block of time for your purpose. It may be 20 minutes at first. Protect it. A promise tracker. Write down one promise each day and mark whether you kept it. Keep the promise small enough to complete and meaningful enough to matter. A weekly review. Once a week, review your purpose, money, health, relationships, and learning. Ask what faith requires next. An accountability relationship. Choose one serious person who respects your purpose and will ask whether your behavior matches your stated beliefs. This system is simple, but simple systems repeated over time become powerful. The goal is not to create a life with no struggle. The goal is to create a life where struggle does not automatically scatter you. This week's work, this chapter becomes real when belief becomes behavior. Set aside 1 hour this week and complete the following. Write a morning command using the structure in this chapter. Choose one affirmation and pair it with one daily action for 7 days. Identify one area where you have been waiting from fear instead of wisdom. Create a 20-minute daily focus block for your purpose. Start a promise tracker and keep one small promise each day. Reduce one source of mental noise before noon. Ask one trusted person to hold you accountable for a specific behavior. Do not measure the week by emotion. Measure it by promises kept. Declaration: I choose faith that moves, builds, studies, prepares, and obeys. I will not use spirituality to hide from responsibility, and I will not let fear become the highest authority in my mind. I direct my thoughts toward purpose. I discipline my speech, imagination, calendar, and habits. I pair belief with action. I keep promises to myself because my assignment deserves a trustworthy vessel. My faith will have evidence. Closing thought: the fourth law of melanated success is this: faith must become disciplined action. It is not enough to believe in a better future. You must train for it. You must speak in agreement with it, plan in agreement with it, spend in agreement with it, study in agreement with it, rest in agreement with it, and act in agreement with it. Faith gives the vision. Discipline gives the rhythm. Directed thought keeps the rhythm from being stolen. Together, they turn inner conviction into visible power.